Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about Jupiter as it transits into Aquarius, which is coming up here pretty soon. So we better prepare ourselves for what this is going to bring. And before I do so, I always want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter. This way you can get all of my predictions written out and sent to your email address. You're able to sign up for my free newsletter on my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And don't forget, when you visit my website, to check out my spiritual line of jewelry, such as I'm wearing the cycles of the moon. And all of these jewelry pieces are to remind us of our spiritual journey while we're here on planet Earth. And don't forget, check out my university website for those of you that are interested in learning Vedic astrology. And my website for the newsletter is galacticcenter.org, and my university website is universityofvedicastrology.com. So let's talk about Jupiter. On April 5th, Jupiter is going to enter Aquarius. And it's not going to stay in Aquarius for an entire year. It's going to be going in and out for a while, but here's the lowdown. Jupiter will enter Aquarius April 5th, and it will stay there till September 15th. And September 15th, it will be going retrograde back into Capricorn for 2 months till November 20th. It will, for those 2 months, retreat back into Capricorn. But on November 20th, this is 2021, it's going to go back into Aquarius, where it's going to stay in Aquarius till April 14th of 2022. So basically, it's from this April of 2021 to April of 2022 that it will be in Aquarius, except for the 2 months between September 15th and November 20th of this year, where it goes back into Capricorn. So what does this mean, Jupiter being in Aquarius? Well, you know, many have said that, some of the great seers have actually said that when Jupiter's in Aquarius, it's exalted. I have read that. But truly, Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. And it has some very powerful effects in Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is an air sign. I know when you think about the water bearer, a lot of people at first think, well, it's a water sign. But no, it's an air sign. So everything is going to be about communications from a higher vantage point. Remember, Aquarius is the water bearer. And what does water represent? Emotion. But it is a human, a man, that's carrying a vase of water. And this deals with the emotional body, but being separate. But the water bearer is pouring out the water. And this represents the pouring out of emotion. This is important. Plus, when we really start looking at the nakshatras Jupiter's going to be in, remember, while it goes into Aquarius, it's going to transit back and forth between 3 nakshatras, but we're going to focus in on the first 2 that it's going to be in, because they're going to be the most relevant. And by the time it goes into the last nakshatra, which I will give you all 3, we'll be on to thinking about other things. And it'll give me another reason to do a video, right? But looking at this in terms of the water bearer, Aquarius being the air sign that it is about thoughts, mind, communications, connecting to people, high-mindedness. Aquarius is the sign of great intellect and intelligence. And the nakshatra that it's going to be in for the most part of this year is going to be Dhanishta. And Dhanishta's nakshatra, it extends from 23 degrees 20 minutes of Capricorn till 6 degrees 40 minutes of Aquarius. And for the most part, Jupiter is going to enter into Aquarius, and it's going to start to slow down by May and not exceed over 8 degrees of Aquarius, where it will station on June 20th. So Jupiter essentially will stand still around 7 to 8 degrees of Aquarius. And that is, it will leave the nakshatra of Dhanishta between May 23rd and July 23rd. At that point in time, it will go into Shatabhishak. So, but for the most part of this year, it's in Dhanishta. Dhanishta actually symbol is a drum, and it deals with timing, it deals with beat, it deals with rhythm, it deals with wealth. And I believe Jupiter being in this nakshatra can somehow protect the wealth in this world or have something to do with expansion. But I will say this, Dhanishta is one of the worst nakshatras for marriage. And those of you that have been having relationship problems, it's time to get on the ball and start clearing things out with your partner. Otherwise, this nakshatra can bring things to the surface quickly, and you're going to have to deal with them. But it is all in good faith and in healing. So use this energy properly. But you know, another thing is that many have said some of the greatest gurus and teachers were born with Jupiter in Aquarius. This is a healing, powerful sign. But I have found many tragic events happened when Jupiter was in Aquarius, and one of the worst was the beginning of World War II. So we can go over a lot of these past historical events when Jupiter was in Aquarius. But for the most part, remember this, Jupiter will stay in a sign for about a year. And because of that, it takes about 12 years, give or take a year or two, for it to go through all 12 signs. So if you're wondering what this Jupiter in Aquarius is going to mean for you, go back to the year of 2010 and think what happened then, because it will be similar. Not exactly, because all the other planets are in different placements, but you can definitely get a sense and a feel to go back to the last time Jupiter was in a particular sign for yourself personally. So go back. What happened to you in 2010? It'll be similar. Furthermore, talking about Dhanishta, remember that nakshatra is ruled by Mars. Therefore, this is a time, I think, that violence will break out while Jupiter is transiting in the nakshatra Dhanishta. Remember, Dhanishta's nakshatra, though, extends between 23 degrees 20 minutes of Capricorn to 6 degrees 40 of Aquarius. And only between May 23rd through July 23rd will it go into Shatabhishak. Otherwise, for the most part, it's going to be in Dhanishta for a long, long haul. And one of the things I find that are relative to this sign and that nakshatra is the Mars energy makes it potent for violent attacks. So I do find there's going to be an enormous amount of violence relative to Jupiter transiting through the sign of Aquarius. And it is of an emotional nature because the water bearer deals with that emotion, but it is pretty much detached emotion. But here is most significant. Realize that when Jupiter stations, it's going to be around 7-8 degrees of Aquarius. That sits on the moon of the United States chart. So that's pretty heavy. And in the United States chart that I use, the moon is 7-8 degrees of Aquarius in the third house. What is the third house of any chart? Communications. So if we're looking at the chart of the United States, this means something about communications comes out. I think it means the truth. I've been talking about this for so long, it's getting redundant. But little by little, the truth is being leaked out. And it's changing the world forever. And there's something about the United States with all of this that's going to leak out. And by this time, when Jupiter is stationing, and it will be standing still around 7-8 degrees. I know it completely stops and turns retrograde by June 20th at 8 degrees. But towards the end of May, you're going to find that it's going to be 7 degrees all the way through mid-July. So let's just say the end of May through mid-July, we've got Jupiter stationing at 7 degrees, and that's potent. That is big stuff happening in the world. The truth comes out. Major leaders in the world will change. I'm getting that there could even be the death of a major powerful person coming about very soon. And it's going to rock the world. Something big is about to happen. So, furthermore, Jupiter will be retrograde from June 20th through October 18th. And on October 18th is actually when it is going to station to go direct, yes, at 28 degrees of Capricorn. So here's what I want you to think about. If you have any planets either at 7-8 degrees of Aquarius or 28 degrees of Capricorn, you're in luck. Or let me take that back. There's some other placements as well. 28 degrees of Capricorn, as well as 28 degrees of Virgo, as well as 28 degrees of Taurus. This happens in October. When it stations on October 18th, you're in luck. Something positive and expansive will come about in your life because Jupiter will either be conjunct or trine your planets. And the one I left out would also be the opposition position, which would be 28 degrees of Cancer. So what is it? Once again, 28 degrees of an earth sign, right? It's going to be Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo, or 28 degrees of Cancer. Something very positive will happen to you. But backing it up to coming up here when Jupiter stations to go retrograde, it's going to be 7-8 degrees of Aquarius. And if you have any planets, 7-8 degrees of Aquarius, 7-8 degrees of Leo, or 7-8 degrees of the other air signs, which will be Gemini and Libra, you're in luck. Something very expansive and opportunistic will come into your life. Of course, that depends on what houses these planets rule or are in. But going back to the basics of what all of you want to know, what is Jupiter's transit through Aquarius going to bring us? It's going to bring us more information and reveal the truth, more so than ever, because this is the air sign, higher-minded wisdom. There is an affiliation with this sign to planet Uranus. And Uranus is the planet that is the sky god. What's above? The heavens, the earth, space. And yes, some very interesting information is coming out about space in the future. And technology. It's going to advance quickly. But I've been saying this all along. One of the most truthful things that has to and will come out is about our contact with aliens and how that has been undermined and ignored. It's out there. it's just ignored, just like everything else our governments want to suppress. The information comes out, nobody does anything about it. They ignore it. That's how they deal with it, and that's how they suppress it. Nothing's ever done. There's all this proof. It's ignored. But I don't think it can continue on the lines of so much ignoring and suppression. So now's the time. Jupiter in Aquarius will bring to light the things we didn't know about. Plus, Jupiter is not only crossing over the moon in the United States chart in the 3rd house of education, learning, and information, the media, it's stationing on it. When a planet stations, that means it's changing from retrograde to direct or direct to retrograde. It stands still on that degree for almost 2 months, definitely 6 weeks. And that empowers any of those placements that you may have, plus, as I keep making reference to, that the chart for the United States has. It's on the moon, the most sensitive point in the chart. Something huge is going to change. In the United States, I think I know what it is, but I'm not at liberty to discuss that here, but it will be between the end of May through July, or the middle of July. This is all going to come up, and we're going to see so much we didn't know before. That will be amazing. Get ready. This is going to be a monumental year for transformational changes based on Jupiter's transit through Aquarius. So another thing is, while Jupiter does go into the nakshatra Shatabhishak, now that's going to be a ways away. It is going to go into this nakshatra though, between May 23rd and July 23rd. So during those 2 months, it will be in that nakshatra. This is called the 100 Healers. There are going to be some amazing health discoveries during this time, I have no doubt. It deals with healing. And it's also called the Sky Watcher. And guess what that means? The discoveries about space. And even about time, inventions. Shatabhishak is a nakshatra that's ruled by Rahu, and this deals with the future in Aquarius, telling the future even. This is profound, but I guarantee you the discoveries that are going to come out during that time are going to blow people's minds. And then again, later on, when Jupiter reaches the degree markings of between, after 6 degrees 40 minutes of Aquarius, once again, it'll go back into Shatabhishak, and it will remain there for quite some time, because this nakshatra extends from 6 degrees 40 of Aquarius to 20 degrees of Aquarius. And that's going to be where the most major discoveries in the world do come out. So this is going to be exciting, but it's intense. A lot of people aren't going to be able to handle some of these transitions and changes of Jupiter in this most powerful sign of knowledge. That's what's coming about. A new knowledge, eliminating so much of the old ignorance, technology, change, transformation. You know what so many say about entering the age of Aquarius. Well, we're not entering the age of Aquarius yet. I'm not saying that. But all of the meanings for Aquarius. And one thing I always say Aquarius says, I know. There's different sayings for all the signs. And one is for Pisces, which we're in the age of Pisces, is I believe. And it's all about our belief systems. What we believe is our truth. But it's not really completely, totally always the truth. It's our truth. So when we go into the age of Aquarius many years from now, it's I know. So I know that that this meaning applies also to Jupiter being in the sign of Aquarius, which means we're going to come to a knowingness. I know, not I believe or I think or I want. I know. And when you come to that point of knowingness, you're there. Things happen. So Jupiter in Aquarius is going to change the world. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be exciting. And we're going to know things we've never, ever known before. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Or if you would like to study Vedic astrology with me, go to my university website, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.